Hello, it's Matty coming at you with another Final Fantasy episode. Thank you for joining me, welcome to the video. And today we are going for dungeon numero 11. Today I'm going to go as a summoner, and we are going to do Damsel Darkhold. So, without further ado, let's get straight into this dungeon and wait for it to pop. So, after a 10-minute wait, we've finally had it pop. So, let's get into this dungeon, shall we? So here we go. So just making sure to pop my macro as normal, making sure that everyone is happy to be included in the video. I always like to give people the option, just in case that they did not want to be in a video. I would then hide the names, hide the chat, just in case. I just want to kind of like cover my own back. But today we are going as a summoner. So a summoner is a caster DPS. They use pets and they use a mixture of damage over time dots, which you put on the enemies and then spread out over them. So, what I do is I'll put on the 2 dots and then I'll spread them over all the enemies around. And then I'll cast Ruin. I will make sure to keep casting pet abilities as well. And you've got 3 different pets that a summoner can use. So you've got Garuda, which is a AoE pet. You have Ifrit, which is a single target pet. And then you have Titan, which is a defensive pet. Nobody uses Titan. Ever. It's honestly, it may as well just be taken out of the game. I'm not going to lie, there's just no point in it at all. So, in this dungeon you're supposed to stand inside the purple, because you've got that all-seeing eye that's flying around in this first sector, and he keeps doing that great big red AoE. And if you're not stood in the purple, you will get hit and you will die. So, stand in the purple. What I didn't realise, and I keep missing this in dungeons, their series in particular, is when there are new people. Now it turns out I think the tank was actually new, and I didn't realise, so the tank wasn't knowing to stand in the purple, and we did have a wipe pretty much straight away at the start, so that was my bad again, but oh well. But we stand on these blue things to open the doors. We don't need to open this one, this is just a side room, but they wanted to open it, or they didn't know, so we'll open it and go in there, why not. We're getting hit by that purple, by the all-seeing eye and that great big red AoE as well, which is what I was talking about. Now, summoner, I actually used to main summon back in the day, back in Stormblood, I think it was, so going back about 3 years ago, I main summoned for the longest time as well, actually. I think I main summoned from probably about the start of Heaven's Ward right through to Stormblood, so a couple of years I actually main summoned for. And when I took a break from the game for about a year or so, when I came back I then swapped to Machinist, and I leveled up Summoner up to 80, but I've never really kind of like got back into it, and it's very different to what it used to be. I've never really got to grips with it since coming back to the game, and coming into this dungeon I was actually a little bit worried about it, because I'll be honest, I've got no idea what I'm doing. I mean, as you can probably see from the hotbar, I haven't even got my hotbar set up very well, so I keep having to flick pages on the hotbar for different skills. I think the hotbar that I've got set up is very much like aimed at level 80. So I'm not sure, but by the end of the dungeon I kind of like started getting into the swing of it a little bit more. This is the wipe that I was talking about. We just didn't get into this purple area. The tank was trying to kill the all-seeing eye, which we can't actually focus on yet. So yeah, never mind. The healer was dead. The monk was dead. So I didn't even bother at this point. I was just trying to explain to the tank what we needed to do. Because this is going to be a wipe anyway, and we're going to have to run back anyways, so I'm not sure what an AOP is. He does the AOP, which hurts. AOE is obviously what I meant. But there we go, we have a wipe. Never mind. No point in crying over spilt beans. Pick yourself up, brush yourself off, carry on again. It happens. Like I say, I didn't realise that the tank was new. So, I mean, it's quite a unique mechanic, really, for a dungeon. You don't do that in any other dungeon in the game at all. So, what were they thinking? God, this dungeon sucks. I don't like this dungeon. Which is funny, because the next dungeon is Ormond Vale. Now, you mention Ormond Vale to any Final Fantasy XIV player, and it will be met with a, oh no, oh, not Ormond Vale, oh, I hate that dungeon. And people will go into that dungeon and quit when they get that dungeon because they don't want to do that one. Me personally, I don't mind it. I actually quite like Ormond Vale, to be honest. I would much rather take Ormond Vale over this, or the Tamtara Deepcroft. I really would. I don't mind it, especially given the fact that you actually start getting some decent abilities by that point as well. It's a 47 dungeon, maybe 49, 40. I don't know, but you've got a lot more abilities in that one, and it starts becoming a bit more interesting when you get to that one. So that will be the next dungeon in the series. So when we get there, you guys will have to let me know what you think. I think it's just got a bit of a stigma, because what happens in the first room of Ormond Vale is the first room is huge, and I mean like massive, and it's very easy to actually pull everything by mistake. And even if you've got the highest tank, highest healer, highest DPS, if you pull everything in that room by mistake, you are going to die. There's no way around it, so you've got to be quite careful. And I think because of that, it's got a bit of a stigma. So, but anyways, back to this dungeon. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm talking about a dungeon that we're not even to yet. So let's focus on this one, shall we? So we've cleared out this room anyway. Just standing in these countdown things. Again, these countdown things. Why? It's just not needed. They're just stupid. No need for them. Silly mechanic. Doesn't happen again in any other dungeons that I can recollect. So, and we haven't got to worry about standing in these purples anymore after this boss either. It's literally to this first boss. So we're now actually going to see that all-seeing guy. Kill the all-seeing guy. So the all-seeing guy has to be inside this purple area. We all have to stand inside the purple area as well. And the purple area will disappear. So we just have to then move off. And it's just a question of just nuking him down as quick as possible. Killing the ads that come. So I'm making sure that I've got dots on him. Making sure to use the pet abilities on him as well, and then just spamming wooing. And because I've got dots on him as well, I'll make sure I refresh them dots, and then I will just spread them out to the other enemies so I can just carry on focusing on the boss. I've got damage over times on the ads, so whilst the others kill them, I can just carry on focusing on the boss. One thing I did forget to do for this boss was actually swap to Ifrit. Probably not a bad shout actually, because you do have ads, so maybe that wasn't a bad shout actually. But I know for the second and the third boss. Oh, screen glitch. What happened then? Didn't do that when I was in the game. That was a bit weird. With having ads, it was probably a good idea keeping Garuda out. Now I will pre-warn you, when I reached probably the second boss, I did have some weird stuff going on. Actually, I don't actually know what was happening. I was putting my dots on and they weren't going on. We had a screen freeze completely at the end. I couldn't even leave the dungeon at all because it just completely froze. There was a couple of other little strange things as well, like kind of I'd be attacking an enemy and then I couldn't. It was really bizarre what was going on. So yeah, very weird. Oh, just answering answering the healer, they were just asking obviously what type of series I'm doing. Obviously I know that this series is not the most popular of series. I'm aware of that. I've done 10 episodes already. I think the highest views was like 30 or something like that. So I'm fully aware that this is not, it doesn't pull in the same viewing figures that Planet Coaster does. But I quite like doing it. So I'm just going to carry on doing it. If 10 people watch the episode and if 10 people like it, then I'm happy with that. If I can bring a bit of happiness to 10 people for a video, then so be it. I don't need hundreds and thousands of views on a video. Don't bother me. If you 10 people watch it and enjoy it, then I'm content. I'll carry on doing them. Simple as that. If I get to the very end of the series, up to dungeon 100 or whatever it is, or however many there'll be by the time we reach the end of the series, and I've still only got 10 people watching, so be it. Don't matter, does it? I don't care. I'll still obviously carry on doing Planet Coaster, because that is what the channel is mainly focused on. I'll also be doing Jurassic World Evolution 2 as well when that comes out. I mean, to be honest, by the time the series is coming to a close, we'll probably have Planet Zoo Console Edition by that point. It's not even been announced yet. I'm imagining October, November 2022 would be my best guess, I think, for Planet Zoo Console Edition. And to be honest, for how long this series is taking, I imagine I will probably still be going with this series at that point. I said this was going to be a long series, I wasn't joking. So, I really am waffling this dungeon. I'm like proper waffle. I'm not even talking about the dungeon at all. I should probably be talking about what I'm doing and about what's going on in the dungeon, but no, just getting sidetracked. Just talking about random things. This is more like a Twitch stream than a YouTube video. Right, look, shall we talk about the dungeon? I mean, what is there to say? It's boring. It's dark, it's dreary, it's boring. I haven't really got a lot going on with what I'm doing. I tried to raise the monk with my really cool macro, but he'd already respawned. I mean, talk about sucking the joy out of everything. I really like my little macro as well. Hang on, I know I've got the spell somewhere in here. I flicked through my book. Okay, I've got it, Resurrection. But no, they went back to the spawn point, so I couldn't even raise them. Honestly, oh well. Unlike the last episode, this one was a bit quicker though, thankfully. It wasn't quite a half-an-hour dungeon. This dungeon is an absolute maze as well. It really is. It's so easy to get lost in this dungeon. It took me ages to learn to navigate this dungeon. Mainly because of this one room, I think. There's like that many different ways you can go off in this room. You just get yourself lost. I really hope that my dog snoring is not coming through in this video. My dog is laid next to me, snoring like an absolute trooper. I swear, my dog is actually on a mission to sabotage my YouTube videos. He really is, I swear. But, right, anyway, back to this video. So, just throwing in ruins. I'm putting my dots on, spreading them over, putting ruins on. I don't really have as much to say with this job as like kind of the last one. Obviously, if I'm tanking or if I'm healing, I've got a bit more to discuss for what I'm actually doing. Obviously, I'm having to rotate my cooldowns. I'm having to kind of like say like kind of why I'm pulling this mobs and what I'm doing with this and everything. But as a DPS, I kind of just follow. To be honest, I'm just a little bit of a sheep. I just follow what the tank does. Follow the tank at their pace and just kill as quick as I possibly can. I must admit though, my summoner is probably one of my favourite looking classes in the game. This attire that I've actually got on, I've had this on for years. Like years and years. I think that was actually a Heaven's Ward top that I had on. The purple winged book, I think that's a Stormblood relic, I think. Not sure on that one. It's either a Heavensward or a Stormblood relic, one of the two. I can't remember which. And then the arms came from a Shadowbringers dungeon. But the actual top and boots are both Heavensward ones, and I've had them like forever. I really like the dyed blue on there as well. So, I mean, as it got to this point now in the series, where it's that boring that I'm discussing what the character looks like. It's now become a fashion show. So here we are, second boss. Did we even talk about the first boss? I don't even know. I honestly can't even remember now. What was the first boss? I honestly can't even remember now. Oh yeah, the first boss with the purple things on the floor, the all-seeing guy. Right, got you. Right, so second boss. It's literally just nuke him and avoid AoEs. That's all it is. Now it's at this point I started noticing that there was something amiss. Now I know that I'm getting interrupted spells from the guys throwing rocks at me. I know that. But when we got out of this boss is when I started noticing that there was some strange stuff going on. My dots weren't going on correctly and things like that. I don't know if maybe there was just a little bit of server lag or something like that. I'm not actually sure what was going on. So here I couldn't get through the teleporter. So that was the first thing. I was like, oh, that's a bit weird. Maybe I misclicked it or something. I didn't really think much of it. I was like, oh, fair enough. But then in this room, there was a couple of occasions, I think, then I started throwing on dots and they weren't quite going on properly. I mean, they went on there alright. So, again, just spamming all these. I've made sure to get Garuda back out because I'd actually swapped to Ifrit for the boss because it was a single target boss. So, I had Ifrit out for that, but I've swapped back to Garuda now for AoE. So just nuke these enemies down, and then for some strange reason you have to then go and stand in these blue things in the AoEs and wait for the countdown. Why Square Enix? Why? Who thought this was a good idea? When they were doing the dungeon, who sat there and thought, do you know what's a really good idea? Let's put a blue circle on the floor that you have to stand in for a certain amount of time whilst you're standing in an AoE at the same time. I'm very happy to report that they did away with a lot of these stupid things moving forward. So, just kill these last few enemies. Now, was it this here where I started noticing? I think it was here like I started noticing there was something not quite right. It's like I'd be focused on something and then it wouldn't focus, and you may not be able to see it in the video. Even when I'm watching it back, I'm not even really able to see it, but when I was playing it, I could feel it. I could feel that something wasn't quite right. I mean, if you were to play something like Call of Duty or Gran Turismo or say Tekken or Mortal Kombat, games that are very, you can tell if something's not quite right because it's obviously very precision timing, and if something's not quite right, even like kind of by a couple of milliseconds, you can tell that something isn't quite right. It's very much like that with this as well. It may not look like it because it looks quite slow and methodical, but it's not. It's actually quite precise in your timings, especially when you start like kind of mixing in off global cooldowns. Now, an off global cooldown is a button that you can press that will have an instant cast. So you've not got the cast bar that's going up like that ruin, for example. It's a button where you'll press it and it will instant cast, and you'll try and weave them in between your global cooldowns. So you've got your global cooldowns, which are your casts, and then your off global cooldowns, which are instants that you try and weave in the middle. And if you've got like kind of a little bit of server lag or there's something a little bit wrong, they won't quite go off right, and you'll notice it. But here we are, final boss. This ugly guy. I mean, you wouldn't want to see that walking at you in the middle of the night, would you? God, it's a thing of nightmares, isn't it? But here we go. So, pop my dots on. But yeah, there's, Final Fantasy might look... It's easy to look at like this video and think, it actually looks really simple. I could probably do that. Yeah, it is easy at the start. Don't get me wrong. But as you start progressing more and more through the game, it does get progressively harder. I mean, I've got a video on the channel, E12 Savage, which is Eden Savage, and that fight with my static, there's 8 of us, and it took us 2 months to clear the fight, and that was 3 nights a week, 3 hours a night, and it took us 2 months to do it. Now, a lot of that was we had people leaving, people rejoining, so we were going back on ourselves and having to relearn bits for like new people and things like that. So we could have done it quicker, but as an example, and that's just one fight, took us 2 months. So yeah, it can be difficult, this game. It can be. It has got a bit of a steep learning curve. There's a lot to do in this game. A lot to do. I mean, obviously, like, kind of this series is just a dungeon series, but there is so much you can do in this game. There's a reason that I've been playing this game for 7 years. It's a massively multiplayer online game, so you would expect lots of content. I mean, it's not just dungeons and trials and things like that. You can do crafting, you can do gathering, you can do so many different things in this game that will keep you entertained, and then you can obviously kind of like go for weapon relic grinding and things like that, which will take up a lot of your time. But anyways, let's get back to this boss and let's stop digressing. This has been a video of digressing. I barely have spoke about this dungeon or this job at all. We have waffled on about the most random things ever. This boss sucks. There you go. Enough said. I hate it. Don't like it. Don't like the dungeon. Don't like the boss. So, as you've seen, probably from watching, I haven't needed to say, what he does is he tethers himself to the crystals on the outside and will become invulnerable. So you destroy the crystal, then you can attack him again. And then in this final third phase, he drops these void puddles on the floor. Don't stand in them. Nuke him down. Done. That's basically it. There we go. Bob's your uncle. Done. So, mice. Good job, everyone. Nice. I did obviously realise what I'd said, which is why I then corrected to nice. But there we go. And this is the part when I now couldn't leave the dungeon. Server lag. I could give a comm. I could do that. I could not roll on the items for some reason. And I also couldn't move. I was just stuck there. So, there we go. But, anyways, thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And I will see you soon for more Final Fantasy videos. Stay safe, take care, look after yourselves. Goodbye, everybody.